Shows Philip Seymour Hoffman as Dr. Chicago, staggering toward a liquor store. Shows Robin Williams, Denitra Vance, John Belushi, and Gilda Radner walking behind him. Williams: enjoying the long walk, Doc? Vance: too bad we forced you out of your job so you don't have any money, huh? Belushi: and gas is so high, you're all out of Coinstar money. Radner: and now you're staggering to a liquor store, just as we expected. Hoffman: well, actually, ghost friends. Williams: for the love of God, stop calling us ghost friends. We spend all day, every day, heckling you. Hoffman: well, actually, ghosts, I don't mind the long walk, and I'm not going to the liquor store to drink. Vance: is that right? Then why is that? Hoffman begins to sit in front of the wall of the liquor store and says, you'll see. Shows George Carlin and Jan Hooks exiting the liquor store. Belushi: oh shit. Hoffman, in his head, says, hey ghosts, look who it is, a news reporter. I wonder if he's heard about the death of Dr. Chicago. Radner: so what? He's not going to stop and talk to a bum in front of a liquor store. Hooks, to Carlin, says, oh, look at that poor guy. Do you have any money you can give him? Carlin rolls his eyes and says to himself, if it'll help me get laid. Williams: if you say anything to him, you'll be in a mental home in no time. Carlin goes towards Hoffman, gives him change, and says, here you go, sir. Hoffman: thank you, kind sir. Do you remember me? Cuts to Hoffman having a premonition. Shows Phil Hartman as President Biden behind a podium, and Hoffman in a suit sitting in a chair behind Hartman on the White House lawn. Hartman: okay, folks, come on, man. We're here today to celebrate the accomplishments of Dr. Chicago and bestow upon him a Congressional Medal of Freedom, as he has fused himself with artificial intelligence and will begin taking the necessary steps to solve all the world's macro problems. Cuts back to in front of the liquor store. Carlin: can't say that I do. Carlin furrows his brow, realizing that there is something familiar to him about Hoffman. Hoffman stands up. Cuts to Hoffman having a premonition of himself picking up a piece of shit from where he was sitting and hurling it up on the roof of the liquor store and saying, I once was Dr. Chicago, the man who fused with artificial intelligence to save the world from itself. Cuts back to Hoffman standing opposite Carlin and choosing to say nothing. Vance: wait, this is the part where he's supposed to throw the shit up on the roof. What's going on? Carlin: you know, on second thought, you do look kind of familiar. What's your name? Belushi: tell him about your plans for the future. Hoffman: you'll figure out my name soon enough. Carlin takes a long look at Hoffman, nods, and slowly turns and walks back towards Hooks and leaves. Radner takes Williams aside and whispers, I thought this was the part where he throws the shit up and says the silly bullshit about fusing with AI to save the world. Hoffman: you know I can hear you even when you're whispering, right? Williams: is that right? Are you proud of yourself for not throwing shit up on the roof? Well, too little too late, Doctor. With your months of recordings, it doesn't really matter that you didn't make a fool of yourself just now. You crossed that threshold long ago. Hoffman: speaking of crossing thresholds, Mr. Ghost, I started to get a little intel beyond your torturous op. And whatever the recordings say, and no matter what you try to put in my head, I'm still here. And to other people, at least in person, I'm not nearly as crazy as you'd like them to think. Vance: that won't last long. Hoffman: that's what she said. And live from Origin's phone, we're not alive. It's Saturday Night Live. Neutered. Starring an ever-evolving cast that has been castrated and refuses to allow their names to be mentioned until their demands are met. Musical guest, Les Paul, and your host, Dwight D. Eisenhower. Ladies and gentlemen, Dwight D. Eisenhower. Applause, applause, applause. Eisenhower. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. I was an American military officer and statesman who served as the 34th President of the United States from 1953 to 1961. During World War II, I served as Supreme Commander of the Allied Expeditionary Force in Europe and achieved the 5-star rank of General of the Army. I planned and supervised the invasion of North Africa in Operation Torch in 1942 and 1943, and the invasion of Normandy from the Western Front in 1944 and 1945. I'm proud that during my presidency, the Korean War ended, and no others were started. Further, our relationship with the Soviets stabilized and did not escalate. Applause, applause, applause. Eisenhower looks off from the monitor and says, "In my farewell address, despite my military background, I surprised many by saying the following. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military." Chris Farley comes out and interrupts, "Donald Trump!" Eisenhower continues, "Complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes." Farley, "Misplaced power? You mean like Donald Trump? Didn't you hear he's arrogant?" Eisenhower, "We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together." Farley, "Speaking of security and liberty, our great private tech behemoth companies keep us secure from misinformation and also give us the liberty to be free of misinformation." Eisenhower, "Those same companies often have interesting backstories regarding their formations, which very much goes to the spirit of what I just warned about." Farley, "Nuh-uh, that's misinformation." Farley looks backstage and yells, "Origin! Eisenhower is falsely claiming without evidence that giant tech companies often have ties to the military-industrial complex." Eisenhower, "Falsely claiming without evidence? Why, let's just start with..." Farley interrupts, "We have a great show tonight. Les Paul is here, ready to play us some guitar. Anyway, I wanted to remind everyone to make sure to get vaccinated for COVID-19. The current administered vaccines are approved and confirmed to be safe and effective by local health authorities and by the World Health Organization. And don't forget your boosters. We'll be right back."